no one can in fact control but you, but me. This is an extraordinary idea. This is an extraordinary state of mind. To in fact create a Bill of Rights, to in fact create a constitution committed to the liberty of one human being, wherever that human being might be, of you. And if that in fact is true, that liberty, that freedom, that passion, that realization that I, as I am born in my perfect body that God gave me, that I am born to be free, to discover what it means to be alive, to create a world better than the world I live in, to create a world better than anything I've ever known or seen before, to create a life unlike any life I have ever known or been taught to know. That yes, you, every single one of us, were born with that liberty, that freedom to become someone, something, to create something that astonishes everyone, because nobody could have seen it coming before you created it. As I was sitting waiting here, I just picked something up from my bookshelf. It was the original manuscript of a book I wrote called Awakening the Entrepreneur Within. And the subtitle of the book today is How Ordinary People Can Create Extraordinary Companies. But the original subtitle was How Ordinary People Can Create Extraordinary Companies Without Any Experience to Guide Them. And the editors of the publishing company, then Harper, took away that without any experience to guide them. But that wasn't all. Because as I began to read the manuscript, this was the manuscript that I had given to my mother when it was complete. You understand, I had completed the book, I had written the book, I had told the story, and I began to sit down before I came on to speak with you without any thing in mind that I was going to speak to you about. I wasn't going to speak about that manuscript, but it struck me so that as I began to read that manuscript, I began to realize everything that the editor from the publishing firm, who knew better than I what really I didn't want to say and what I did want to say. And I don't know what occurred. I don't know how it transpired. But in fact, I guess I gave up and agreed to it. And as I was sitting here just now before speaking to you, reading what I had written, and then reading what I had published, and looking at the gap between the two, I suddenly came to the realization of what I wanted to speak to you about today. We live our lives like that. We live our lives by being edited. We live our lives by being shaped by the circumstances that other people feel are appropriate, feel are best suited to, in fact, a reasonable future that you and I might have. And we acquiesce. Yes, here I am. And in that particular moment, when that book was being written, here I was. And it wasn't that long ago. I was in my 70s. Here I was, allowing it to happen. Hear me. I'm the one who's speaking to you about a career as an entrepreneur, creating a world unlike any world I ever thought I could create before. Starting out with nothing other than my imagination, way back then in 1977, when I was already 41 years of age, to start a company on the street without any experience whatsoever other than the experience I'd had in the prior 41 years. And the experience I'd had in the prior 41 years, I can promise you, was not a degree. I was not an academic. I was far from it. Nobody would have said that I could be successful in business, as successful as I've been. Nobody would have said I could have written 18 of the most successful business books of all time, which I've done. Nobody would have ever believed in this mythology that, in fact, was being created right before my eyes as I went out on the street every day with this thought in my mind, this idea in my mind, this feeling in my heart that I suddenly had come face to face with something I had never seen before. And it was an opportunity I'd never thought about before. And that was to completely recreate what a small business is and what a small business does so that people who start businesses could be more successful. And I started out with that thought in mind, and I went down the street knocking on doors, and I began to call on people who own small businesses, and I began to talk through what it was I thought I wished to do, and I began to tell the story of what I wished to tell, and I began to touch some people and antagonize other people. And I began to inspire some people, antagonize other people. And I began to inspire some people, antagonize other people. And I realized my life was no different than it had been in the 41 years before. I was inspiring some people and antagonizing other people, and all the rest of them simply didn't know what happened. And that just went away. You understand how life goes on? And I suddenly had a calling. And my calling was telling me, Michael, there's something missing in this picture. There's something missing in this picture in the world around you. And somebody in me said, I think I know what it is. I think I know what it is. I think I know what it is. And I began to talk about it and talk about it and talk about it. Hear me? I'm speaking to you, every single one of you. And I'm saying, and that's how Apple, the company, was started. And that's how every company of any means is started, by somebody going out on the street and talking about it and talking about it and talking about it, looking for what? Looking for his or her voice. Ladies and gentlemen, today I'm 78 years old. I'm looking for my voice. The day I come to my passing on, I'll be looking for my voice. Every single moment and every single day, whether I'm alone or whether I'm with a large audience of people, no matter what country I'm in, here I am speaking to you without a script, looking for my voice, experiencing my voice, which comes from within, not from without. It doesn't come out there where you are. It comes in here where I am, searching, hoping to tell someone something that in fact will inspire someone to do something, to experience something that I know to be of value. I'm speaking to you. Enterprise called America. Here in our country, we experience something that nobody would want to speak about. Millions of people coming from your country to America to live a better life. Tens upon tens of thousands of them every day to live a better life. And every single one of them believing that America, the country, is where one can live a better life, because one is free to pursue a better life, because there's work to be done here. And of course there is. And of course I'm not there in your country, speaking in your country of knowledge I have about your country. But to understand, my knowledge has nothing to do with countries. It has to do with a state of mind. And I'm saying that if I could bring that state of mind to you where you are right at this moment, right now, that something, someone would awaken within you and say to you, listen, listen to this, listen to this. It's here right now. It's right here right now for me. All I have to do is what he did. All I have to do is to begin to experience it. What is it that entrepreneurs do that everybody else does not? So going back to the story of my publisher, when my publisher edited my book to make it right, and I acquiesced to my publisher editing my book to make it right, because of course they're the publisher, they know best. But of course there are professors, they know best. But of course there are fathers and our mothers, and they know best. But of course there are employers, and they know best. And even I, at this late stage of my life, coming to that quandary, that moment of decision. Do I simply tell them to stuff it? Do I simply tell them, no, this is what I meant to say, and this is how I meant to say it, and this is why I'm saying it that way, and this is why it's so important that it be said that way, because I want every single reader who ever picks up this book to experience the truth that's going on in me, that I'm not an author, I'm a human being. I'm a human being that has lived this, is living this, is speaking this. I'm not a speaker. I'm a human being. I'm a human being like every single one of you are a human being, not a student, not a professor, not an engineer, not a graphic designer, not a whatever you might think yourself to be, the name, in fact, you've been given that defines the world you're supposed to be living in. Hear me, scrap it, get rid of it, trash it. That's what entrepreneurs do. Entrepreneurs are the ultimate outsider, not the insider. Every ordinary experience you live on the inside of your life is everything that an entrepreneur is railing against. And when that entrepreneur stops railing against all of the ordinary insider things we do in all of our ordinary lives, he or she is no longer an entrepreneur. He or she has given up the game. He or she has put a frame around his or her life, exactly the same as the frame you put around your life, albeit it may be different. It may be a more appealing frame. It may be a more exciting frame. But a frame it still is, a frame, a box you put around yourself, a box which becomes your prison. Entrepreneurship is not what you learn in school. Entrepreneurship is not what you learn right here. Entrepreneur is not you seated in an audience listening to a speaker, no matter how wise that speaker might have been told you to be. That's not entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is on the street. Entrepreneurship is on the street in your imagination. Entrepreneurship is in the street of your courage, your conviction. Entrepreneurship is there waiting to awaken within you. It's the divine within you. It's the creator within you. It's the Imagineer, as Walt Disney called him, in you. That's what this is all about. As I look at the original manuscript and the book that was published and the difference between the two. It's absolutely astonishing that we don't see things when in fact they're right there in front of us. It's absolutely astonishing that we go to sleep so soundly, each and every single one of us, speaker and spoken to. We go to sleep so soundly, and we're only woken up by a shock. had this extraordinary great friend. His name was Dr. Frank Savinsky. Dr. Frank Savinsky is the co-author of the E-Myth Chiropractor, one of those 18 books I spoke about. Most vibrant man in his early 60s. The most beautiful man in his most vibrant self, a chiropractor, a wellness being, an enormously prolific, profoundly exciting man. Looked at Dr. Frank in his early 60s and looked to me like he was in his mid-30s. He was vibrant. He ran miles every week. He spoke to me about exercise and nutrition. He said to me, Michael, I know you're not going to listen to me, but hear me. Here are these good words. They're so important to you. I want you to live until you're 190 years old so you can go out and aggravate everybody for the rest of your life. And they'll hopefully say, is that man still talking? Is that man still yelling at people? Is that man still aggravating people around the world? My goodness, he must be 278 years old by now. Doesn't he ever shut up? Dr. Frank said to me. We got a call from Dr. Frank's beautiful wife, Kathy, a couple of days ago. Dr. Frank had just come back from a speaking event and was struck down and went to the hospital with leukemia. And he passed 2 days ago. Just like that. And if you'd ever seen that man, if you'd ever experienced that man, if you had ever known that man like I've known that man, then you would see yourself how boom life is. Between there and there, something happens. Between there and there, we agree to modify, to have modified the shape, the form we take in our lives by the culture we live in, by the expectations we live with, by the academics who teach us, by the parents who lead us, by the bosses who hire us, by the careers that are shaped for us so that we can go out and make a living and lead a respectable life. Hear me, Dr. Frank led the most respectable of lives, but he challenged it every single day, probably aware that just in one moment he would be gone. And everything he gave up between the moment he was born and the moment he passed away was the price he paid for fear. For the fear that if I don't, I won't. For the fear that if I don't align myself with those who know, then I'll become someone who doesn't know. And God forbid I would ever wish to be someone who doesn't know. Because someone who doesn't know doesn't get. And somebody who doesn't get doesn't have. And somebody who doesn't have isn't. And that's the world we live in, ladies and gentlemen. And that's the way we're shaped. And these are the choices you get to make. And you get to make a choice right now at this moment as I'm speaking to you. As this elder statesman speaking to you who wishes to aggravate you. Who wishes to aggravate you to understand that entrepreneurship is not a career. Entrepreneurship has nothing to do with business. Entrepreneurship has as much to do with science and art and literature. Entrepreneurship is the creator within, and we kill the creator within quite early in our lives because the creator is a catastrophe for everyone attempting to lead an ordinary life and to put a box around it and to put a box around themselves and to control everything so they can get, so they can have, so they can be. Such a crime to wake up suddenly in your life to see the choices we have made, to see the fears which have driven those choices, to see the ordinary collapsing the extraordinary into a day by day by day by day sustaining occupation, which becomes the nature of our lives, as opposed to what a creator like Steve Jobs of Apple did with his. I call it the Jobs effect. To see what a gentleman like Steve Jobs did with his life. It's so much easier to turn to Steve Jobs because everybody here in this audience knows of Apple. Everybody knows the success of Apple. And so it makes a great story that Steve Jobs was a college dropout. In his first year, went to start his own business, started his own business in his garage. It became Apple. And of course, Apple became the wealthiest company on the face of this earth. The highest valued company on the face of this earth. Now you think about this. Here's a man who doesn't know anything, starting something he knows nothing about, leaving a college before he ever goes to it, a hippie in the making, in his sandals, thinking that he's going to create something that nobody had ever created before. Think a computer in every home. What a silly idea, a computer in every home. When IBM was started by IBM Jr., Tom Watson, when he said to his father, I want to turn IBM into a computer business, Tom Watson Sr. said, a computer business probably won't be a market for more than 6 of them in the world, he said. Not that long ago. 6 of them. Tom Watson said, I think not. IBM was born. Steve Jobs said, I think not. Apple was born. There's a baby residing within every single one of you. There's a child within every single one of you. There's an idea waiting to be born within every single one of you. There's a creation being waiting to be born with every single one of you. There's a dream waiting to be born within every single one of you. And yet, hear me, the countless thousands of people I've spoken to in all the countries throughout the world, the tragedy is, even as I say this, I know that no one's hearing this. Even as I say this, I know that no one's hearing this. Even as I say this, I know that in this audience, of all of you lovely people, certainly it's not that it's not having an impact, but of course you've got your own agenda, and your own agenda is in fact just like the agenda that my publisher had. We have to turn this motley idea into a well-organized idea so that it's presentable to the world. Because a book must be presentable to the world. Must it? I think not. Well, yes, we must be presentable. Here I am in my Panama hat. Here I am in my cashmere sweater. We must be presentable. Here I am in my little home office where I do all my magical work. Here I am speaking to you wherever you are, somewhere in Mexico. And of course, it all must be presentable, because obviously the visual impact of everything has its meaning. But understand the spiritual heart of everything drives what you see. And what it is you, each and every single one of you, get to do is you get to become the inventor of America right where you are. You get to create your own America, your own state of mind. You get to awaken the passion within you to experience the passion I'm speaking with you to do in order to become what you're not, in order to awaken who you are. Because it is within every single one of your provinces to do that. Entrepreneurs aren't born, ladies and gentlemen, unless we're all born. And what I'm saying is that every single human being on the face of this earth is born with a soul, and that soul was born with a mission. And that mission was driven with a purpose. And that purpose was driven with a vision. And that vision was driven with a dream. And so it is that every single one of you, every single person on the face of this earth might say right now, I have a dream. What is it? I have a vision. What is it? I have a purpose. What is it? I have a mission. What is it? I have a dream. I have a vision. I have a purpose. I have a mission. I am blessed with this entrepreneurial fever to create something. If only I knew what that something was, I would set out to do it. Come hell or high water, I would set out to do it. I would set out to do it right here where I am. I wouldn't have to go someplace to do it. I would set out to do it right here where I am, because right here where I am is where the opportunity is. That's why you're there. The opportunity isn't out there. The opportunity is in here. The opportunity is in here within each and every single one of us. Our job is to discover that one, that entrepreneur, that creator within, that Imagineer within, that designer, that builder, that launcher, that grower, that creator, who without money, without capital, without knowledge, without anything that everybody out there in the ordinary world tells you you need to know, I'm here to tell you, absolutely to tell you, you don't need to know anything in order to begin this, other than you have the passion in your heart to begin this, and it will begin. This is not about knowledge workers. This is about the absence of knowledge workers. This is about creation. And just as certainly as you and I were created by the good Lord above, just as certainly as you and I were created by whomever you attribute that to, the power or powers that be, whomever and whatever, created mankind and everything surrounding us and the infinite range of galaxies. This absolutely unbelievable, unconscionable, mysterious universe we live in, whomever, whatever, created all that, created you, created me, created us to be here for a reason. We have a reason for being here, you and I. And you and I are here to discover that reason. And understand that reason isn't to fit into a box. That reason isn't to fit into the order that other people have created. That reason is to create disorder. First, disorder, to shatter the box, to begin the search. And the search starts within as I begin to ask the question, what is my dream? What is my vision? What is my purpose? What is my mission? So I want to thank you all for having me here. It's been a delight to visit with you. I want to say that, in fact, there's not a soul in this room, not one of you, who cannot, in fact, do what I have just expressed through you and I have done myself. Not one of you. It would be embarrassing to me to share with you all of the truths about me. You would say that's not possible. How could a man with such accomplishment be so stupid? I would love to share with you how stupid I really am. But I'm passionately stupid. I just want you to understand, I'm passionately stupid. And the truth came to me that nobody is smarter than me. They may appear to be smarter. They may have accumulated a lot of knowledge. But when it comes right down to being human, they're just as stupid as I am. And there's something in that I want to share. Something in that I want to share with you. So that you can begin to experience this blessed gift that every single one of us have. So I promised Claudia that I would speak for about 45 minutes, and it's been about 45 minutes, a little shy of that. And she asked if I would do some questions and answers, and I said absolutely, I'd be delighted to do question and answers. Before I do that, I would like to say that Claudia is going to make certain to receive a summary of the work that we do and the books that I've written. So should any of you be interested in being aggravated more, you could certainly begin to have a relationship with us at Michael E. Gerber Companies. And of course, what Claudia will see that you get will describe for you what I call the dreaming room. And the dreaming room is an opportunity for you to truly begin to awaken the entrepreneur within you. And we'll bring it right to you there through Zoom in Mexico.
Of course. You hear me, Mr.
Hello,
Gerber?
Claudia. So I can't hear you.
Exactly. Right now we hear you. You hear us right now? No yet? Okay, let me check. We are going to change the microphone. Yes, maybe it's a good idea. Okay. Hello, Mr. Gerber. You hear me?
Claudia, I didn't hear a word. Would you tell me what she asked?
No. You can hear us? No.
I can hear you, but I could not hear what she said.
Okay. Okay.
So if you'll repeat it.
We are going to start with some question and answers. So it's important that tell me if you hear. No?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Bueno, vamos a proceder. Le paso el micrófono entonces para si alguien necesita hacer alguna pregunta a Mr. Gerber. Nosotros desde este medio le hacemos la traducción y entonces que nos conteste. ¿Hay alguien que quiera preguntarle algo?
Yes, please. Tell me what the question is. Claudia, if you just repeat it, because I can hear you, but I cannot decipher what the questioner is saying. Yes. I can hear you. Please speak up louder.
Yes, I'm Gerber. Thanks for your time. I really appreciate it. And let us know that there's somebody that shares the same ideas that I have, and I like to collaborate with you. And thanks for your time. I really appreciate the opportunity that you gave us and the time that the opportunity. And
Thank you. Do you have a question?
yes. Well, this is my. I like to express my feels with you, and well, uh, I know that there will be a lot of difficulties to get to know to the point that you want to hit to, but I like
Yes,
to.
but what is your question?
Well, I just want. Bueno, solamente quería agradecerle.
I love meeting you, and it's been a delight. And you can email me.
Yes, yes, I will do that.
If you want to speak to me, ask of me, then please do. And email me.
Yeah, I will do that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Okay, no, gracias. Another question? Okay.
Don't say another question, Claudia, because he
Okay.
didn't have one.
Just the following one.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
I would like to ask, when did you start to begin that entrepreneurship it's like a lifestyle or like a culture to you? When did you realize that and why?
Well, let me say that I never thought of entrepreneurship. I thought of a calling that I had. And I've written about this, how it came to me. I was on my way from Southern California to Northern California. This is in the mid-1970s. About 3 years before, I had moved from Northern California to Southern California. I'd made the decision that I wanted to work with my hands rather than with my mouth. In other words, I wanted to stop being a salesman, which is what I was, and I wanted to become a carpenter. And typically, the way somebody does that is you go learn how to be a carpenter. But being the way I was, I simply went to Southern California and began knocking on doors. Hi, I'm from Northern California. I'm looking for work. What do you know how to do? Whatever you need done. I have a job starting tomorrow in a kitchen remodel. Why don't you show up there at 7 o'clock? This is how it started. So, of course, I showed up at 7 o'clock, but before I showed up, I had to buy tools. Because I was 38 years old. Are you listening to this idiocy?
Yes.
So I showed up on the job with my tools that I had bought at Sears Roebuck. And the first thing I noticed is the other people in the job, first of all, weren't dressed like I was. And they had really old tools. I stayed on that job for 3 minutes.
Okay.
But I'd learned 2 things. How to dress and what tools to use. So I went and got old clothes and old tools. And I went down the street again. I know this sounds absurd to you, but this actually happened. By the time I was done over those 3 years, I was what is called a pickup man on a track. That meant I would go around fixing the mistakes other guys made framing houses. Well, I'd learned how to do that. Now I was going back up north to become a contractor. And I stayed over at my brother-in-law's house, who had started a small advertising agency in Silicon Valley. And he had started that advertising agency in Silicon Valley because I'd inspired him to do that before I went south. And he was very successfully selling services to small startup companies in Silicon Valley. And he asked me if I would come visit one of those companies with him because one of his clients was having a problem converting leads that his advertising agency was creating into sales. I said, well, of course, Ace, I'd be glad to, but I don't know anything about business. And I certainly don't know anything about high technology. And he said, don't worry, you know more than you think you know. Just come visit with me. So we went and visited Bob, who owned this small company. And I spent an hour with Bob. And now here I am.
Okay.
That's how it started.
Okay.
What it started with is I don't know anything about business. And what it ended up with is I do know something about business. I know selling is a system. I knew that because I'd learned that. I also had learned that playing the saxophone is a system. I knew that because I'd learned that. I did that before I ever became a salesperson. I learned that everything is a system. But what I discovered is Bob didn't know that. And I suddenly became a consultant. Now hear me, as I went to work on Bob's business, as my first client in Silicon Valley, believe this or not, my imagination began to understand what was missing in Bob's business. And what was missing in Bob's business and Jerry's business and Judy's business and Jim's business, the next client and the next client and the next client and the next client, what was missing was an entrepreneur. Bob was not an entrepreneur. He was a technician suffering from an entrepreneurial seizure. And that became my business.
We got it. Okay. Another question?
Thank you.
Good morning, my name is Ana Dalet, and I ask you, what was your principal reason to start your enterprise, your drive, your...
You just heard it.
The motivation?
You just heard it. It happens inside. It happens inside. You take risks. You take risks. And you just suddenly discover everywhere you look, it's broken. Hear me. Everywhere you look in the world, it's broken. Everywhere. Everything is broken. Your school is broken. This conference is broken. Your life is broken. Your wife is broken. Your husband is broken. Your children are broken. Your government is broken. The city is broken. The whole damn world is broken. And here you are in the middle of it, and you get to fix it. That's where you get it.
Anything else? Yes? Okay.
Oh, goodness gracious. You see, we believe that everybody has an answer.
Okay. Yes. The last
We
one.
believe that everybody has an answer. Nobody has an answer.
You're right.
Mr. Gerber, here's another
Yes, another
student.
question.
What's your name, dear?
Raúl.
Okay, Raul wants to ask you that, for example, countries such as China, Singapore, and India have emphasized a lot on education. What's the role of the universities in education?
There is no role for the university.
So what's the role of
Thank
our
you.
schools?
There is no role for your school. There is no role for the universities. There is no role for anybody or anything other than every single individual on the face of this earth. When you go to school to get your education, what we find is that the unemployment rate of college graduates in these United States of America is a sin. College debt has gone to $1.3 trillion and growing. Here in these United States, the average college graduate has debt but no future. Think about this. Debt but no future. I should not be saying this in a university setting.
Yes, that's what we are wondering, because our student then he's wondering what's the use of education. I mean, is it worth it or not?
The
According to your point of view.
use of education is your profoundly passionate pursuit of it, not what it's going to produce outside, but what it's going to produce inside. If you're here to study the theory of relativity, study the theory of relativity with everything you got. Don't become a slave to school. Become a driver of your own education. What do I want to know? What do I want to know? What do I want to know? Where am I going to get that? Where am I going to get that? Pursue it. Here I am at 78 pursuing what I wish to know, what I wish to learn, what I wish to create with the passion of an 18-year-old.
Okay.
Without that, there is nothing.
Okay, Mr. Gerber. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Raul.
First of all, thank you very much for this speech that you give us. I think you're a very inspiring person. And well, I want to ask you, when you start your enterprise, you start alone, and if it was like that, it wasn't like that. If you start with someone else,
I started by myself.
With yourself. Okay. Well, it was.
And then the gentleman who came to replace me, I started when I was working inside my brother-in-law's advertising agency with his clients.
Okay.
And then with clients I created for him that he didn't have. Using a script that I made, I wrote to call them to describe what I was there to do. So I created a whole new business within his little advertising agency. And I created chaos. Because he suddenly was face to face with what he didn't know and what he didn't do and what his clients really wanted and what they really needed, which he didn't understand. Now you might say, how did you understand that? Well, because I didn't get in the way. I absolutely was open to the question, what's missing in this picture? Write that question down. What's missing in this picture? What's missing in this picture? Everywhere you are in your life, what's missing in this picture? And I started. And as I began to create it. And as I began to create it, I began to say it. And as I began to say it, people would respond to it. And as people responded to it, something else happened. It grew, it grew, it grew, it grew. That's what you get to do.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
But let me add one last thing. But you've got to be stupid like me.
Okay, I will try to do that.
Thank you.
Hi there.
Hello.
Okay, you said there is no need of knowledge or money. But in which point of the business you introduce the knowledge you receive as product?
You create the knowledge you need. Let me give you an example.
There is no person.
You don't walk in with knowledge, you walk in with a question. Hear this. You don't walk in with knowledge, you walk in with a question. Okay. What is your first name? Marcia. Marcia. That's my sister's name, Marcia. My youngest sister. So I'll speak to Marcia, my youngest sister. Marcia, what's not working in your life?
Well, the point here of my question question is that I
No,
am.
no, forget your question, Marcia.
Excuse me?
Forget your question.
Okay.
I'm asking you a question. What's missing in your life right now, Marcia?
I feel I don't have the level for make a business. I have fear. I
Of course.
I can't.
Yes, I can't. I have fear. I'm afraid I don't know enough. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to do it, etc. Exactly?
Yes.
Right. So my fear says I don't know, and I'm saying I want to. So here we're turning it around from I don't, I can't, I shouldn't, etc. All those negative influences that prevent me from to I'm going to. I'm starting right now, Marcia. You hear me? Right now. Not tomorrow, not the next day, not the week after, not when I graduate, not after I get 40 years old, not. I'm not starting then, I'm starting right now. Marcia, today is the first day of the rest of your life and your business. It's begun.
Okay, thank you very much.
Now, wait a second. All I need to know is what that business is. And something drives me. How old are you, Marcia? Right. How many 22-year-olds are there in Mexico?
Millions.
How many?
Millions.
Millions. And what do you imagine that there are, those millions of people are very much like you?
That's a million.
Yeah. They don't know either?
No.
They're afraid too?
Yes.
They're looking for an opportunity?
Yes.
To get what they don't have? There is a business opportunity just waiting to be pursued.
Okay. Thank you very
By
much.
Marcia or by any single one of them who has the courage to say, I'm going to fix that. And suddenly Marcia becomes a leader. I'm going to fix that, not by joining a club, not by joining a political party, not by raising rampage on the street to get them to fix that. I'm going to fix that. That's the difference between political idiots and you and me. I'm going to fix that by inventing a business that fixes that. And I'm going to grow that business here in Mexico, and then I'm going to take that business to Guatemala, and then I'm going to take that business to Venezuela, and then I'm going to take that business to Argentina, and then I'm going to screw up the whole world. That's what I'm going to do, Marcia.
Okay, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Okay, Michael, we have finished with our session of questions and answers. So if you people, if you still have questions, our staff will give you a card where you can write your questions and email with your email address, so that Mr. Gerber can answer you back via mail. Okay, Michael, once again, we are very thankful with you for sharing your experiences and knowledge with all of us at FESACAPLAN. I can assure you that all our students, with your lecture and with authorities here, will have been inspired by your words, by your dreams, and maybe we are going, I'm sure we are going to share, we are going to awaken our dreamer inside. Thank you so much. Our organizing committee will deliver you a diploma and a gift from our campus, FESACAPLAN, on behalf of our director, Jose Alejandro Salcedo Aquino. Thank you so much for being here. Receive a great
Thank you
applause from
all.
our note.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you. Thank you, dear.
Thank you, Mr. Gerber. Thanks a lot, and we are going to speak with the audience regarding the dream room and also the scholarship that you offer to our community. Thanks a lot for this thing, and we are going to replay to all the audience. Thank you so much. Bueno, muchas gracias, chicos. Bueno, muy brevemente, vía correo electrónico, toda la gente que se registró en el Congreso, el señor Michael Gerber ofreció unas becas para el Dream Room, es un número limitado de becas. La verdad es que es un verdadero placer poder estar con esta personalidad aprendiendo sobre el alto poder del emprendimiento. Entonces, nosotros se los haremos llegar vía correo electrónico y veremos con el sistema InnovaUNAM de qué forma generamos la repartición de estas becas, ¿no? Bueno, muchísimas gracias a todos y pasamos entonces a nuestra siguiente ponencia.
Sí, muchas gracias. Nuestro siguiente ponente es el ingeniero Jorge Yaguno, director académico del IPADE, con la conferencia Errores Organizacionales, misma que dará comienzo a las 11:45. Por favor, les pedimos que se queden aquí con nosotros a escuchar esta interesante ponencia. Muchas gracias. A ver, ¿me permiten, por favor? Vamos a entregarles a todos los asistentes una participación. Aquí la tenemos, es un papelito. ¿Y después?
Bueno, en el papel van a ver dos, uno en blanco y otro con el logo del Congreso. Quien tenga el logo del Congreso les va a hacer entrega de un presente.
En la hora de la comida, muchas gracias. Les repito que el ingeniero Jorge Yaguno, director académico del IPADE, estará aquí ya con la conferencia Errores Organizacionales, que empieza a las 10:45. ¿Estamos listos? ¿Sí? Sí, ¿verdad? Les comentamos también que los que están registrados en la conferencia tomen asiento, por favor, y los que no también esperen su lugar, si son tan amables. Estamos por empezar esta conferencia 10:45 con el ingeniero Jorge Yaguno, director académico del IPADE. Su conferencia es Errores Organizacionales.